All right, hi everyone. We are back with another success story. My name is Eric Briggs, CEO of Network Connection. And today we're actually really excited to be talking with one of our students that we've been working with recently. And today we're actually going to talk with a student who's currently a registered apprentice, specifically with the LAUNCH Apprenticeship Network out of the Inland Empire in California. For those of you that haven't been focused on apprenticeships or haven't heard too much about them in the past, apprenticeships are a structured employment opportunity between usually a college or another training provider that we work with and the employer. So the employer and the college are in agreement. Classes that the apprentice takes are directly associated with the skills that a company needs, and upward mobility is generally built into the position. So it's a really structured opportunity. And with that, what I'd like to do is introduce one of our apprentices here who we've worked with, Alma Lara. So Alma, can you do me a huge favor and just introduce yourself? Let me know what school you're attending and what are you studying right now?
Okay. Well, my name's Alma Lara. I'm currently a part-time student at Moreno Valley College. So I'm majoring in information technology, more into like the cybersecurity side. Cool. So I guess my goal is just to gain as much knowledge as I can while I'm studying there, just to complete state-approved certificates, both in cybersecurity and like IT specialist.
Sure. And if you don't mind me asking, do you have hopes of, do you want to transfer, or do you want to just get your AA and kind of move into the workforce, or stay in the workforce, I should say? What are your hopes there?
Right now, I'm not really planning to go to a four-year college as of right now, because I'm a student, I'm a mom, I'm working. Right. So it's mostly just focus on certificates and just gain as much knowledge, and then after that, just see where it goes from there.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting thing to highlight, because within apprenticeship, you can get degrees, you can also get certificates, and some apprentices, you don't need to get any of that. You could actually walk out without any of that and just have an incredible job. So, but certificates are, of course, important. So Alma, what I wanted to do is ask you a little bit more about the apprenticeship, how the opportunity's been going, and just hear from you on that. So, this process that we started, you met the LAUNCH group, right, and got involved with this project. Can you maybe take me back to that? How did you learn about the LAUNCH project and get involved?
Well, I was taking a course at Moreno Valley College, and my professor kind of mentioned like, hey, there's this new apprenticeship program coming out. They help you with, paying for courses. They help you get a job. You have a mentor there to help you out. So it's just like, oh, that sounds like the perfect fit for me. So I applied for it and kind of went through the whole process. And I mean, thanks to my professor, I guess, who just threw it in one of the classes. I was like, okay, right. I'll take that.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you highlight that, because I think that that's all it takes sometimes is faculty or professor just mentioning it, right? That, hey, and you never know how many students in that classroom are looking for work or need help, right, with that structure on how to get that first opportunity. So, okay, so you learned through the class, you got connected to the program. Mm-hmm. And so let's fast forward a little bit. I'll come back to kind of the interview process in a minute, but let's fast forward. What apprenticeship have you taken on? What's your title within it, and who are you working for right now?
So I did 2 interviews. Thanks to Sarah, who helped set that up for me, and she cool. guided me all throughout. Yeah. And I was given the opportunity to work with the City of Moreno Valley. So currently I'm working there as an apprentice in their technology services division, as like an intern / like IT technician. So I help out the whole IT department.
Great. Yeah, thank you. And I think there's a lot of students who might want to work in the public sector. So it's interesting to have you highlight that, because especially when we talk IT, that's needed at every city around, I would imagine, the country. So you're in this role. How far are you into the apprenticeship? And I'll comment maybe a little bit on how long apprenticeships usually last, but when did you start? How far are you into this opportunity?
I started the actual apprenticeship the beginning of June, and I'm about halfway through doing it about part-time, so it's about 1,000 hours. So it's about a year that I'm going to be working there with the city. Right.
Yeah, and this is a bit unique because many apprenticeships will last a couple years, 2 years, and 2,000 hours is a lot of times the hours you'll hear. So You are in this role part-time, flexible, so it's actually a little bit unique compared to some other apprenticeships, but there are, goals and metrics that Alma needs to go through and, hopefully then move up within the city as things progress, right? So, but the important thing to note is she is in an employment opportunity versus maybe an internship where there could be just a straight up end date and, that's all over with after, let's say, 10 weeks. And now talking, let's take a step back about your experience. So you did have to interview for this, right? It wasn't just a, hey, start the program and voila, you get a job. It's like every other opportunity. And so did you feel prepared walking into the interview? And additionally, was there any help that we provide from Network Connection or the college that you got that kind of helped out there?
Prior to the interview, I had time to like review and practice to the point like where I felt confident enough to answer any questions. I remember doing a mock interview as well, which, I received a little bit of feedback, like, maybe you should answer it like this, maybe this is the better way to do it. So I feel like that helped me feel a little bit more comfortable going in because I already did the mock. So it's like, this isn't my first time going into an interview,
Right.
And I remember completing a couple lessons online that kind of showed, like based on your experience, what's the best way to answer questions. So I kind of like applied that to my situation. And also like just doing lessons online, like creating your resume from scratch and just on work ethics, it just gave me a better understanding on like what to expect. So I felt pretty prepared. I felt comfortable. So
good. And I think it should be pointed out that you did a lot to prepare, which, I would recommend to anybody, of course, based on the time you have in your life. You got to do that, especially if you really want to feel comfortable, is talk to others, do your own research. I think it's so important to compile all that and walk into the interview feeling prepared because, listen, statistics show us most people are going to be extremely nervous in interviews. It's just, it's a big deal. It's your livelihood. So, okay, so zoning in on kind of a fun part of, your apprenticeship, in a very vague way, what do you enjoy most about your apprenticeship?
Well, what I enjoy the most is every day is different. Some days are slower than others, but there's always something going on. There's always something to do, and it's never ending, but in a good way because like I never get bored, And
sure.
With that comes learning new things and just becoming familiar with different tools, different situations and how to handle those.
Yeah.
And I also really enjoy having somebody there to kind of someone there who's been in the field, who knows how to do things and kind of helps me whenever I need it. It's not like just like I get thrown in there and expect to know how to do it. Like if I have any questions, like please ask, and I do, so I know the best way to do things. So I feel like just having somebody there who I can count on and just it helps out a lot, and I really enjoy that.
Great. And I'm glad you highlighted that. And we'll talk about that in a minute, a little bit about the mentorship and how much that comes into play with apprenticeship. You don't mind me asking kind of a follow-up to that, right now in sort of this IT specialist role that you're in, is it pretty traditional IT work where you're getting a ticket and you're helping somebody out within the city, or kind of how does that look for you? How are you getting directed on the work you need to do that day?
Well, there's like tickets that we process, but there's also like side projects that are ongoing, never ending, and then also any incidents that may pop up throughout the day. So it's like kind of jumping from one thing to another and just completing different things. Yeah. So that's what I like about it, because it's like it's not just sitting there just doing tickets. It's you're doing everything. So
right. And kind of to what you said earlier, it's like every day seems like it can be totally different. So
yeah.
Do you feel like, because this is a part about apprenticeship that's I think a little more dialed in than normal employment opportunities, let's say, is do you feel like you're applying what you've learned in class to your apprenticeship on a pretty consistent basis?
I would say yes, honestly. Yeah. I've learned so much and continue to do so every day. And, sometimes like I'll in class, they'll teach us something and I'll be like, okay, I think I get it. But then like, the next day we're doing that at work and I'm like, oh, okay, this is how it works.
Interesting.
And it's crazy how sometimes it's aligned. Like we studied about switches one day at school, and like prior to that, I was like helping configure a switch, so it lined up perfectly. And I really enjoy that because I think it's really important to kind of get that hands-on training, because it's one thing to learn the material in class, but it's a different thing to actually like apply that to a real world environment.
Right. And again, this is highlighting exactly why apprenticeship is taking on steam, I think, in so many different areas, because you do get the opportunity to potentially learn something and literally the next day use it, in a class, in a work setting. Whereas maybe you got to wait a little bit of time for an internship or even to graduate to go ahead and do that, through another opportunity. So I'm really excited to hear you do it. That's cool. It's like almost you almost were doing something before you even learned it in the classroom. Like you started learning it on the job, and then you had to walk into the class and be like, oh, I was dealing with this at work. Right. Going back to something that you mentioned a little earlier, within apprenticeship, and I guess any job, but I think in apprenticeship, it's particularly important. Mentorship on the job is extremely key to a successful apprenticeship. When you need assistance or you have questions, how are you going about checking in with leadership right now to get help?
Well, I mean, I have questions every day. I'm still learning, and there's always somebody there who I can go to. Like first, I'll try to see what I can do to solve the problem. But I always like to double check to make sure I'm doing it right, or have the right idea. And if I don't know how to do something, I'll just go ahead and ask, and they're happy to show me if I don't understand, to be like, okay, let me show you how to do this. So actually, have a better understanding on how it's supposed to work.
Right. And I think regardless, for any students that end up seeing this, regardless if you're working in an apprenticeship, internship, whatever it might be, that's something when you're interviewing with the company as a student that I hope all students think about, is sort of interviewing the employer and making sure that that's going to be there, right? That if you have a question, you're going to have people to help you. I can't say enough how important that is in an internship or an apprenticeship, anything where you're gaining experience, because you're not going to know everything yet, right? Everything's new to you. So all you know is what you've learned in class. So definitely always keep that in mind when you're interviewing, is that what support am I going to have, when I have questions? Very important. I'm going to wrap up with one more thing, Alma, and then we'll be all done here. Apprenticeship is new. It's something that a lot of students, if you walk up to them right now and ask them about it, out of a foreign concept. And a lot of times when people think about apprenticeship, I can tell you the first things that come to mind: electrician, construction, really a lot of those types of trades that are great apprenticeships, but we're talking really untraditional, right? You're in an IT apprenticeship right now. So my question to you is, do you think other students should really take advantage of apprenticeships? And would you recommend to others to connect with Launch?
I would honestly recommend anyone who's doing IT to just do that internship or apprenticeship. Yeah. I feel like it's one of the best choices I've made to kind of help me push me forward into that career path. Because I feel like without it, if I would have completed my courses and then just gone straight to a job, I honestly don't think I would have been prepared. Like seeing it now, being like an apprentice, like everything I'm learning, everything I'm able to do. So I feel like it would have been difficult for me to just go straight into a job without the internship. And I think it's really important to have that real world experience that an internship can offer. So I honestly, I would recommend anyone to just take that chance. Like you think about it, should I do it? Should I not? Just do it. You're going to gain so much, not lose anything.
And I think that's great advice. I think that, listen, everybody's extremely busy. I think you are a great testament, though, to how much you've got going on in your life, right? You just mentioned school, work, being a mother, all these different things that you got to do, and you're doing it. You're still able to do it, right? And I think that's important to show people that, take the leap. You never know who will believe in you and give you a shot, right? Whether it's 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, full time, if you can do it. It's so important, not only because you get to experience what you think you're going to do for the rest of your life, but maybe also find out what you don't like, right? It's also important to find out, do I like this? Because there's nothing worse than finishing your degree or your certificate and being like really excited and then going, oh, this is what I signed up for. So I think what you said really, really is something I've seen with students a ton, is not only, take that leap, not only because, your professor saying gain experience is good, but because you want to make sure this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, So All right, Alma, I'm gonna wrap it up here. I just want to say thank you to everybody who ends up watching this video and checking it out. Please stay in touch with us on our social media. I think we are set up on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and we look forward to sharing more success stories with you in the future.